Hey besties, this one's for the ladies, for the girlies. And it's about Ramadan and connecting with your inner feminine self and connecting with your creator. So, whether you're Muslim or another religion, or you just want to learn about connecting with God, connecting within your deep self, that kind of thing, this video is for you. Keep watching, although I may ramble from time to time. So happy Ramadan for everyone, and welcome, ladies. So yeah, basically the topic is your divine feminine within yourself. So I just made a little checklist basically of what I want to do during Ramadan and how I want to embrace my divine feminine and for me to get closer to God. So for every girly out there, you're going to be in a different situation. You're going to be in a different mindset. So just take what resonates with you. So number one, the first thing on my checklist is creating a sacred space. So this could mean anything from just carving some time into your day to actually do things that you need to do around this concept. Or it could literally mean creating a sacred space. I've seen online a lot of Muslim girlies have this, I wouldn't call it a trend, but this thing where they create like not a prayer room, but a prayer area just for them. And I've also seen Christian girlies do that online as well. They'll have a little nook with your Bible or your Quran, and it's just like a little space for the girly herself and not really anyone else to just use to connect with God. So creating time and creating a place to enable that kind of connection is so important. And as women, quite often, we're always saying, oh, I'll make time later, or I'll do it after I do this thing or whatever, and then you never get around to it. So for me personally, the challenge is creating the time or being organized to make the time. I have my own little space for this, and I'll be using it during Ramadan. So that's really exciting for me. Point two is practices and techniques. So again, it's going to be different for everyone. So some women like to do just prayer time in their space. Others like to use it for meditation, reading their holy book. There's a whole, it really does depend on who you are. But I guess for us Muslim girlies that, we're going to be doing Islamic activities. So making dua, studying the Quran, reciting, that kind of thing. And just, making it a priority. And especially during Ramadan, that's such an important thing to do, to make time for. Which brings me to the third point, which is exploration. So for me personally, I thought, what is it that about Islam that I want to delve into, that I want to research more into or explore more into? To be honest, for me personally, I feel like it's the actual connection that I'm wanting to develop more. And if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. So again, for me personally, I've been focusing on when I do my prayer times, um, really trying to get into the right headspace to do that. And, you know, that can be difficult for some people, particularly if your life is really busy or if you have anxiety, to get into that zone where you're not just going through the motions of prayer. You're like, well, for lack of a better term, it may be hard to log in when everything else is happening around you, and, you know, just getting into that mindset. So, you know, creating a space that's just for you can help you do that. Making sure it's a quiet space, making sure it's not, you know, like a thoroughfare of your house and people are going to be walking through and walking past. I mean, me personally, I'm just going to have a little corner, a tiny little corner in my house, but I think it's going to be just for me. So I'll make the time, I have the space, and I have decided on the practices that I want to use. For example, doing more recitation of the Quran and just practicing my prayers, because nobody's really perfect at it, really. No. Yeah, which brings me to the fourth point, which is intuition. Now, when you're trying to use your feminine self to connect with God, you need all the things that we kind of talked about already, you know. It needs to be kind of the right zone. Like, people talk about having too much anxiety and not being in your divine feminine, or having your masculine traits out, such as, you know, you're very goal oriented and you're not able to stop and you're just constantly working. And a lot of this idea of the divine feminine, particularly in relation to connecting with God, is that you're allowing the space in your life and you're allowing the space within yourself to be open to receiving and experiencing, you know, being in your feminine, and to be able to connect with God. And personally, I find that, you know, that can be difficult if, well, yeah, if you have huge anxiety, but also if you're like really immersed in just day-to-day life, to really switch out of that worldly zone and into that sacred space. So the fourth point is intuition, and that's really about immersing yourself into this feminine energy of yourself and creating your own space or bubble away from the world. Just to have your own little sacred space. And I really think that if you do that kind of thing, you're really open to connecting with God as a female, as a woman. So yeah, that's my plan during Ramadan, to do those things. And I wouldn't say they're like hardcore goals, because I don't want it to be a rigid experience where it's not enjoyable. I want it to be an experience where I'm open to going in this direction, or I'm open to going in that direction. Maybe I planned on practicing, you know, going through my prayer stuff, but instead, after I've done my obligatory prayers, I might decide to do Quran recitation instead. I want it to be flexible. And I think that if you open yourself up to that softer experience, that not only is there a lot of learning, but if you connect to your own soft side, to your feminine divine side, you're really open to experiencing your religious practice, connecting with God. Really, it should be an immersive experience. And I think that's really what I want to achieve this Ramadan, is to immerse myself in that kind of, I can't even put it into words, to immerse myself out of the worldly and into the sacred space. I don't know how else to say it. If you like these ideas or you can relate, drop me a comment down below. And yeah, have a great Ramadan. Bye, besties.